Whatever path you were on, whatever inspired you to come here today, we honor you and we welcome you. And now, our message.
Do the message for today. I can see that the children are going back to the class, so I was going to invite them to do that. But I now would like to invite you to join me in a quick evocation, a centering, kind of just bringing a little bit of peace and quiet, acknowledging why we're here. So just close your eyes and become peaceful for a moment, realizing that there is something greater than us in this universe and that we can use it. That there is a spirit, a divine intelligence, God if you choose, that exists everywhere. And it resides within us and creates with us the ability to be co-creator in our universe. Just like that song. Co-creator. My experiences, my life, my spiritual path, my choices. So may we be open today to receive and to understand thoughts, lessons, messages that we receive while we're here. Whether it's the talk or the music or a conversation with someone other after, to be open and wise enough to learn and understand and enjoy receiving these words, these messages, a light on the path. And with a kind and gentle heart, we accept all of this. We know it is attracted to us in this reciprocal universe. The energies of our thoughts and our emotions go out and they create and attract back to us into our lives our truest desires. But let it go. Give thanks for all you know and all you have and all you are about to receive. Send it out. And say with me, and so it is.
So, songs, yeah. I am just loving the easy songs that you're singing, because I think we could all learn them and sing along. Wouldn't that be good to just know the words to those, to be able to sing along? Because what I found is I just allowed myself to get into them, and my mind kind of slowed down from the busyness of the morning and me walking on my talk and meeting everybody, and it just sort of gave me this sense of being present and being ready and receptive. So thank you for cultivating and activating that awareness and that vibration for us. Thank you. Looking at three of you right now. And Shannon. So my name is Reverend Ali Benjamin, and I am standing on my foot here I had surgery a few weeks ago, and if I get tired I will make a little sign and have you come bring me a chair, but I think I can go for 20 minutes without having to rest. So this is one of those months where we've had 5 Sundays. And I love the months where we have 5 Sundays because it feels like we get a bonus week or something. And the theme for the month of May has been attraction. So every week we've been talking about spiritual principles and practices, an awareness around being a co-creator in the universe so that we can attract a life that we truly want. And so I've been sharing ideas and thoughts, and Reverend Lyle also, about how to be a conscious co-creator and tap into your innate skills, your innate wisdom, to be able to work with the universe, work with the universal energies so that we can have the things that we want, like a more meaningful relationship with our children, or a deeper experience of pleasure at work, or those types of things. And so today, I'm going to be focusing this entire talk on this phenomenal book. This is a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I love that title. How to lose your mind and create a new one. So, Dr. Joe is a renowned author and speaker and researcher and neuroscientist, a chiropractor, and an expert on the brain, mind, and the human potential. And I stumbled across something that said that when he's not doing his speaking and his touring and his research and all of that, he actually has a practice in Olympia, Washington, where he sees clients. So I was thinking, if I'm in that neck of the wood, I wouldn't mind going to see him, because he's just a phenomenal teacher. And if you're not familiar with him, I encourage you to check out his TED Talk. Is anyone familiar with TED? Technology, Education, and Design Talks. They're just phenomenal talks of leading edge people in the arts, in the entertainments, in spirituality, technology, and science that bring 20-minute power talks to the stage. And it's all around the world. It goes on all around the world now. Well, he's got two phenomenal TED Talks that I encourage you to check out. So he's spent decades on studying the human mind, how it works, and stores information, and why it perpetuates the same behavior patterns over and over again. Any of you experience that? But behavior patterns over and over again, you're like, why do I keep doing that? Why do I keep doing that thing and keep getting that same result? Well, you know what that saying says. You do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. That's the definition of insanity. So that's maybe why he's talking about losing your mind here. Because we, over the course of our lifetimes, develop patterns of behavior based on our past, based on our conditionings, and somehow, even though we intellectually know that we don't want to do those things or we don't want to have those experiences, we fall back into that rut. We get triggered by something out there in the world, and then there we go. We get back into that rut of frustration or anger or disappointment or sadness or withdrawal or all of those less attractive things about us that we'd rather not be. Anyone have similar things to that going on? Okay, so hopefully today what I'm going to share is some really clean, clear principles and practices that will help you to notice when you fall into those patterns and behaviors and what to do about it when you do, so that you can experience a different reality. You can actually break the habit of being yourself, being the miserable self, being the annoying self, being the poor me self, being the whatever that self is that you don't like. So he draws on scientific and universal spiritual principles to deliver practical tools and techniques that help empower people to truly change from the inside out, and so change the very results of their lives. So he said that you are not doomed by your genes. Now, we've been told really we're sort of these beings that have genes, and we can expect to have health patterns based on what our parents and their parents, and he's saying that we don't have to buy into that. That is also a belief, that we are not doomed by our genes and hardwired to be a certain way for the rest of our life. A new science is emerging that empowers all human beings to create the reality they choose. Now, as I read that, I thought that sounds a lot like Dr. Ernest Holmes, who wrote the textbook, which I'm particularly fond of, The Science of Mind. Dr. Holmes said over 80 years ago, "We look forward to the day when science and religion shall walk hand in hand through the visible into the invisible." Now, this amazing mystic and genius, Dr. Ernest Holmes, had an idea that there was something more to this physical universe. And he was a scholar and a philosopher on metaphysics, the study of the unseen, why things are the way they are, why things get to be the way they are. And he particularly focused his attention on the mind, the human mind, as to find answers into what is this thing called the world and life, and how, as human beings, do we relate to it. And he found that our mind is integral to what is experienced on the outside. Now, intellectually, you know this. You know that if there's two countries, two groups of people that have a disagreement, and that disagreement goes on long enough, that there's the likelihood of a war. So thoughts in the minds of men and women, thought over and over again and dialogued about, and stories created about those differing opinions, create what we know as unrest or war. So we've seen over the course of our lifetime things happen like this, that thoughts become things. We also see that there's fabulous things that happen through the stimulation of thought. Look at what we're experiencing currently in science, in technology. Those things computers didn't just plop down from the sky one day and go, boom, here we are. Computers were first thought in the minds of people like you and me. Discussed. Ideas were discussed. And then over the course of time and inspiration and innovation and action, computers showed up on our planet. Think of all the wonderful things that the medical world has presented through the thoughts, through men and women like you and me, getting together, formulating ideas, sharing ideas, and then boom. This is how we create. This is how the world evolves as we know it. I'm not talking about necessarily the stars and the weather systems and the evolution of substance in that way, but the way we as a species are evolving and creating a beautiful place to live here on planet Earth, it's up to us. Does that make sense? So could it be that we can learn from that and say, okay, if that is true, that's cause and effect. That is the law of cause and effect. Can we say that we can be the cause of our life, the cause of our effect? Yeah. So what does that mean based on this idea that we get into patterns of believing and patterns of doing and patterns of thinking that create our life, and we're creating it all at the same time? So if we're stuck in loops based on ideas we have from our past, based on memories that we've had, year by year by year by year, and we continue to react in that same old way to those same old things, we get the same old experience. Now, Dr. Joe, being a neuroscientist, he studies the brain. And he does scans, like all people that study brains do. They scan the brain and they watch the activity of the neurons within the brain. And what happens when we think a thought, a neuron sparks, it fires, and then it wires together with neurons with the same thought. So it starts to build a web, a network, and that becomes a thought, and then thought over and over again becomes a belief, and it becomes a well-worn groove in your mind. Now, if you keep on thinking this thing, whatever the thing might be, you will continue to breathe life into that belief, and it will become who you think you are. Oh, I'm sad. I'm disappointed with my job. And if you continue to give it attention, it continues to grow. Now, he's saying we can stop that. We can break the habit of those uncomfortable things that are showing up in our life that are attached to the thoughts we think. We talked about thoughts become things. A thought that's thought over and over again becomes something. So we can break the habit of having those thought patterns engaged and us reacting to them in the same old way. How? By thinking a new thought. Nothing new. I know you've all heard that before. By thinking a new thought. So here in movements like this, in New Thought movements, in self-help movements, we've been told, oh, you say these wonderful affirmations and you say them over and over again and voila, you will lose 50 pounds, you'll find your soulmate, you'll get the Prince Charming, whatever it is that we're saying these affirmations about. So that is partially true. But we have to utilize some of the other capacities and faculties of our mind in order to really have it work. What does work mean? It means if we start thinking a new thought over and over again, it will start to fire new neurons that will then wire together. Neurons wire and fire together with repetition. So what does that look like? When you and I have, let's say, I'll use me as an example. I have the ability and the well-worn rut, and look at the time, because I could go on and on about myself in this way. I have a well-worn rut, that's right. So I have a well-worn rut about anxiety. I love to worry about my children, I love to worry about this, that, you, it's just like the thing I do. Now, not so much anymore, I catch myself now, but in my past, when I was less onto this idea, I would be one of those people that worries all the time. Like, thinking about the codependent, that was me. They say about the codependent, when their spouse dies, when they die, their spouse's life flashes before their eyes. That was me. I like to give attention where it wasn't needed. So, I have to develop, when I catch myself, this is what Dr. Joe says, we can use meditation and more specifically contemplation of what we're thinking about. We can begin to, and actually meditation translates and means being familiar with something. So when we're in the practice of meditation, we're becoming familiar with the divine, I would like to think. But many of us contemplate things, so we become familiar with that thing we're contemplating. So what we do is we pay close attention to the thoughts we're thinking. So when I get triggered, when I start worrying about my beautiful daughter or my husband or whatever, you guys, or I can say, okay, here it comes. I feel myself being triggered now. I'm going to start, if I don't catch this, I'm going to react in the same old way. I'm going to start like having an inner monologue and dialogue about how I could fix it or how something needs to happen, and I create a story that is humongous. Well, that is wiring and firing and got me trapped in a loop. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the person that worries. So I have to catch myself and think, okay, well, what would it feel like to not worry about this? Who would I be without that thought? Okay. I'd be someone that liked to go with the flow. I'd be someone that minded my own business. Because when I'm in the business of my daughter, or my husband, or you guys, I'm not paying attention to the job I have, which is to be me. I came here to be me, right? Not to be the one that worries about everyone else. I came here to be me. So I would start to develop patterns of thoughts about I'm loving and accepting of people's journey. I mind my own business and pay particular attention in finding joy. I would start to develop thoughts that align with what my intellect knows I want to experience. I'm merging my body and my mind here. Because our mind, our conscious mind, is the way we program the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind then expresses as the body. So if you're having a dis-ease or you have something going on with your foot or something, you've probably been thinking a lot of anxious thoughts in your subconscious mind or critical thoughts in your subconscious mind. So our conscious projection of thought affects our subconscious mind and our body. So I want to give you an example of this that was just really powerful to me. So I went recently on a cruise. I went on a spiritual cruise, went to Florida, and I went to Cozumel with 100 of my closest minister and practitioner friends. And I got up early, and I was a little distracted because my passport hadn't come. And so I called the cruise ship the week before, and they said, "You're fine, just bring your naturalization papers," I'm from England, "and bring your driver's license, and you'll be fine." And so I thought, okay, so I got up that morning and I got everything laid out. I looked at my license, and it was current, and so I went to the airport. I get check in for my ticket, and the lady said, "Oh great, everything's good, except your driver's license has expired." And I'm like, I go into that well-worn rut. I'm like, oh no, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? And then I remember, you're a metaphysician. You know how to think new thoughts. You know how, so you just see yourself landing in Florida. Okay. So I go up to the TSA, and I'm like, yeah, I'm buzzing along, and I'm thinking my new thought, and I get up there, and I hand him the license, and I'm thinking, I've got the auric shield pulled up, I'm protected, I'm guided here, and I'm up there, and he's like, oh great, go ahead. Oh, by the way, your license is expired. And I'm like, I'm a rule follower. It's like, you don't get on a plane, not with all the terrorist stuff, and without a current driver's license, but they let me on. I thought, okay, well somehow, I'm being divinely protected. I've got my angels with me. Okay, so I get on the plane and I fly there. And on the plane, I start going to that well-worn rut. I'm like, okay, well I got on the plane here, but what if the TSA people aren't as friendly on the way home? And then I'm like, oh my God, now I'm going to Florida and I'm not going to be able to get back. And so then I'm like, oh no, think a new thought. Oh, I just love, I can just picture myself on the beach in Cozumel, and I'm like, doing my new thing, and neurons are firing and wiring, and I'm thinking of the Mayans. And so then I get to the airport, and I get to the hotel, and all of my minister friends are showing up, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get on the ship tomorrow, and I don't have a light. So I told my one friend, I thought, I don't want to contaminate the whole mind of everyone here. I'll just tell one person what I'm anxious about, and maybe that'll be okay. So I told Kim, and she called the cruise line, and they said, well, I don't know, it's a policy, you have to have a valid picture ID. So I'm like, so I'm back in that anxiety thing, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So the best advice she gave me was, well, just fake it. Just go through the line and just pretend that, just walk through with confidence. And I'm like, please. And so I'm thinking, okay, what can I do here? Because I'm getting really anxious about this whole thing. I don't like to be someone that's breaking the rules here. Now I'm lying, which now I'm like, oh my God, you can't lie, you're going to get in trouble, and blah, blah. So the new thought was, I'm here with these beautiful people of consciousness. Okay, I'm going to tap into our energy. And I hear one of my minister friends, Sunny, from Milwaukee, and she said, this is a dream come true. I have been manifesting, teaching my law of attraction workshop on a cruise ship for 30 years. And it's all coming into place. I am teaching my law of attraction workshop on the cruise for you guys. And I'm thinking, she's the one. So I went up to her, I said, Sunny, oh, I'm so excited to hear about our workshop. Would you do me a favor? Will you see me sitting in the front seat of your workshop? Will you see me there, getting all of this wonderful information? Will you see me writing notes and loving your workshop? Will you absolutely know that I'm there in your workshop? She said, yeah, of course, I already see it, it's done, you're there. And I'm like, phew. So, I get that, gave myself permission to stop worrying about being on the ship, because Sunny had my back, right? So I'm over here, I'm like, okay, I'm on that cruise ship, I'm already in the workshop, it's done. So you should have seen me. I was like the Queen of England, just strolling through the line, up to the thing. They didn't even ask for my ID. I couldn't believe it. I got on, I did believe it. She couldn't believe it, but I believed it. So I got on, and I had a great time, but the whole time, I was so tempted To go back to that place, like, are they really going to what if I get off in Cozumel? Yeah, the Mexicans may not be as friendly. They may not let me. So I'm like, oh my God. And then I'm like, Sunny's seen me here, she's got me here. So, I start praying to the Mayan goddess. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, it all worked out. But that was just an example of how we can get drawn into patterns of behavior. And we can absolutely use these powerful tools, which are simply focus on the thoughts that you want to think. Because energetically, that's what it takes for us to change our thoughts, which changes our mind, which changes our life. And if enough of us do this, we will absolutely be able to create a better world. If we all understand the power of the individual's thoughts and the ripple out effect it has on everybody else, we will be the trailblazers. We are the trailblazers. I see that for us. I see that for all of us. We are the trailblazers that know that yes, we do have a tendency to fall into patterns of behaviors and ruts, but we have the ability to stop, to be mindful, to notice what you're noticing, and utilize your imagination. If you don't get anything from this talk except this one thing, take this. Utilize the incredible, invisible power of your imagination to imagine what it is or who it is you would love to be. Instead of the anxious me, the full of grace me. Imagine the person you want to be. Imagine it a month out. Imagine you living that life, being that woman, being that man, thinking the thoughts that generate the life that you want. And be him or her more than you're this one. So in the face of things not going the way you want, in the face of people upsetting you, in the face of the facts, people telling you you need a picture ID, in the face of those facts, you get to transcend those reactive thoughts and create new thoughts that the universe always responds to. The universe responds to your predominant thought. The universe doesn't speak in English or German or Japanese or any other language. The universe speaks to you and communicates to you in the language of energy. It's going to respond to your predominant thought. Your predominant thought activates chemicals in your brain that become the emotions we feel. Don't you love hearing that? The thoughts you think activate chemicals that become the emotions. So you think good thoughts. You think how much you love life. You think of all the things that would bring you joy. And that creates a feeling. That's when you know you're speaking to the universe in a language that it understands. Thank you. So I'd like to close with a prayer, if you will. I'm going to be putting some of this into practice right now. This is the scientific 5-step prayer process that activates the brain to activate the universe that always responds in kind. So I simply stand here recognizing that there's only one life, there's only one power, there's only one presence, and we're experiencing it right here and right now. This is it. Nowhere to go, nothing to be, other than to be the presence of unconditional love right here, fully connected in the oneness that we're experiencing. Body, mind, and spirit. Only one. So as I unite in this energy, in this awareness, in this understanding, as it becomes fully activated within my being, I start to fire new neurons that are saying, yes, yes, we're only one, we're only one. Yes, there's a law that is responding to your every word, your every thought, right now. So I plant these words in the activity of that quantum field. I plant the thought of absolute peace and happiness and wholeness for all of us. I know that all of us have a tendency to struggle with repetitive thoughts that don't serve us. So I simply say, yes, we see these, we know these, and day by day, we're just releasing the tendency, the habit of being attracted to thinking those thoughts. And every day I step into this place of being way more familiar and attracted to thinking inspiring, uplifting thoughts that absolutely promote and propel me forward into the infinite realm of possibilities that is my life. I know how to do that. I know how to be positive. I'm that way all the time. It becomes so easy as I remember it right now, as I can imagine those neurons firing and wiring together that say, yeah, life is good. Yeah, I'm an abundant being. Yeah, I enjoy this thing called life. My relationships are unfolding perfectly. My health, my body knows exactly how to heal itself. I know that. I have faith in that and I trust that. Let's take a breath. So we're simply activating right now, we're activating this awareness within our minds, within our bodies, and we're saying yes, I am a powerful co-creator in this universe that is here for a short 100 years or so to bring more love and light and healing and awareness onto this planet. And I simply do this by being me. I say yes to being me as I allow others to say yes to being them when I simply just do it myself. That's how we do it. We just live in this field of love and acceptance and namaste, and life unfolds in a particular way. It brings a smile to the heart and a smile to our faces that is contagious. So that's what I know for us. We are the ones that show up to spread love here in Ogden and beyond. It's that simple and it's that easy. And I say thank you. And so it is.
So it is.
Thank you for blessing us with your presence today and being a part of the Satya Center. You're invited to join Reverend Ali and Reverend Lyle each Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for your dose of connection, inspiration, and co-creation. The Satya Center is located at 795 24th Street, Ogden, Utah. For directions, a map, and our service times, please see our website, thesatyacenter.org. This program was brought to you by the kind donations from the members of the Satya Center. Thank you.